following program is intended for mature audiences.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And download every episode and more at basicallyasportshow.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
And you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
I'm surprised that on that McDavid goal, at least one Columbus Blue Jackets players didn't spontaneously combust afterwards.
That bad, huh?
Yeah.
After missing, 37 games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just show up and just make fools out of a team that was supposed to be pretty good this year.
And he's already got 2 assists tonight against Ottawa.
Well, Ottawa.
You ended up getting him on your team, didn't you, Mike, in the CHL?
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, he's a Montreal Maroon.
One of the greatest
If somebody
steals.
scores in an Ottawa-Edmonton game, does it really count? Was anyone there to see it?
Somebody has to be there. I mean, there has to be people there to keep records of it. So, yeah, it counts. Maybe no paying fans, but you're still going to have a scorekeeper, the officials.
The fans are there. The fans are there.
I'm not sure if the scorekeeping officials are even there.
The fans are there, Greg. It's just that instead of being Sens fans, they're Leafs and Habs fans who have nothing better to do that night. So,
Greg, if you walked down any American street and said, "Hey, Ottawa and Edmonton are playing tonight," do you think anybody would have any good goddamn idea what you're talking about?
Well, now, you've got to qualify that. Which street am I walking down? Am I walking down the street here in Florida, or am I walking down the street in Ohio? Because there's a big difference.
What's the difference? Would the people of Ohio know what an Edmonton or a Columbus were?
No, they'd have no clue. But down here, I'm going to run across some Canadians, and yes, they're going to know exactly what's going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, if you ask them in Ohio, it's just going to be a lot of are the Browns in it?
They'll be like, Edmonton, ain't that team? They play with 3 downs, right? That's what when you get up there. But down here, people
Go
would know.
Eskimos!
I've seen license plates down here from Ontario, Saskatchewan. I guess Saskatchewan's got their own license plates, right, Mike?
Yeah. No, they don't have. They just paint the numbers.
Well,
on the
I can never remember.
That's the platform of the Saskatchewan Party.
I can't ever remember if they're a city or a province. I'm sorry.
They're a prop.
Saskatoon is a city. Saskatchewan.
Right.
Is the
okay. Right.
Saskatoon is one of the 2 cities. The other is Regina. There's only 2 cities in the entire province.
And they're both funny.
Yeah, they're both hilarious.
They both sound hilarious.
Saskatoon is the greatest Canadian city name ever, I think.
Saskatchewan? Oh, yeah.
And as
boys going up to Sasky later.
And as Zach alluded to, the party in power in Saskatchewan that runs the government is just the Saskatchewan Party.
I don't know if the Saskatchewan Party really stands for Saskatchewan values. I think I might root for the Saskatoon Party. Now
Anyway, I've seen license plates down here from Ontario, Saskatchewan, Quebec. And one BC plate, which really kind of surprised me.
I'm honestly shocked to see Saskatchewan and BC because Florida's pretty out of the way.
Arizona's territory. Arizona gets the western.
That's what I mean, man. I mean, you've crossed a pretty significant piece of land to go from, say, Saskatchewan or BC all the way down here.
Yeah, it's actually.
Oh, and I saw one. Is it like Nova Scotia, right?
Yes, Nova Scotia.
One of those. So I think I've covered pretty much all of them.
Halifax.
Right? Halifax.
See any Newfies while you're down there? Any Newfies?
Not yet, but I'm sure I will.
Oh, well, they get their own time zone.
I'm telling you, man, with the weather we've had, until today, it got kind of cool out again today, but for the past 4 days, I understand why you would drive all the way from Saskatchewan to Florida.
Newfoundland does have their own time zone. They're like a half an hour ahead of the Eastern time zone.
Well, Newfoundland, also the proud home of NHL All-Star John Scott.
Indeed. Can we talk about this? Because this is hilarious.
We've talked about this story plenty of times. People know all the details of it.
But then the game happened.
But then they actually had to do the thing. And man, was it fun. Wasn't that, I think, easily the most fun I've had watching any All-Star game
First of all,
in a good long while.
So you guys like the 3-on-3 thing?
It was fine. It was fine. But honestly, it was the whole John Scott drama that was really, in my opinion, the driving force behind it.
I mean, that helped. I think that the format of the game was better. I think it would be fun regardless. But the John Scott thing added a whole different dimension to this as like a big FU to the league that everybody can get behind. You know?
I made it a point to watch the All-Star game for, the first time in 5 years, maybe. Like, actually just like set time aside and say, okay, I'm watching the NHL All-Star game tonight.
Yeah, and then, I mean, John Scott comes out there, scores on his first shift.
Well, do you hear what Mike Milbury said beforehand?
Oh, no.
So beforehand, because Mike Milbury has apparently hated John Scott for years.
Oh, well, of course.
And because
a man who beats somebody with his own shoe in the stands can hate anybody that does pugilistic things in the league.
And was charged with threatening a 12-year-old too.
Yes,
Mike Milbury. But Mike Milbury, before the Pacific Division's first game, the All-Star tournament, they were going over the line combinations, and when they got to the Pacific Division second line, which is the one Scott was on. Scott was playing center, and Mike Milbury goes, I call this the donut line because there's a hole in the middle.
Oh.
And then he's like, Scott, you just going to be out there to take short shifts?
Yeah, except he goes out there, scores the first goal of the game for the Pacific Division, then scores on a beauty of a breakaway to
John Scott Division. Scores on a breakaway.
Yeah.
Can I just step in for a second
then they
here?
go to the second game. And the Pacific wins a 1-0 game. Goal by Corey Perry, shut out by John Gibson, no big deal.
So why can't they do that in the regular
Working on it.
I just want to interject for a second.
Yeah.
When they announced this format for the All-Star game, I think I liked it the best of all three of us. And guess who did not see a single minute of this game? That'd be me.
You.
Yeah. Completely forgot it was on.
It was fun. No, I mean,
problem, Greg. You're part of the problem. But you watched the Pro Bowl.
Well, not really. It was on my iPad on the table, and that's it.
Yeah, Greg and I discussed the ins and outs of what was the Pro Bowl.
We gave that damn Pro Bowl 20 minutes more than anybody else in the world gave it. I promise you that.
Forgive me if I wasn't rushing to listen to that episode, right?
Well, we were smart. We put the Super Bowl stuff at the end, so in order to hear it, you have to listen to the Pro Bowl stuff first.
Yeah.
I think but honestly, kidding aside, I think we had a pretty good conversation about the Pro Bowl. We didn't first we couldn't.
We didn't break it down play by play.
No, and we couldn't because we had no idea who was who. None. Right. No clue. I still don't know who. I mean, I think I know who won, but I don't know which team they were on the field. But anyway, back to hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I think beyond the John Scott stuff, when it comes to the actual game, it worked better for me. I think one reason that it helped is when you're on 3-on-3 compared to 5-on-5. 5-on-5, there's less room on the ice, so the players are all kind of bunched together.
Yeah.
And it shows a little bit more when you don't try hard.
Yeah.
But when you're 3-on-3, you have to skate or else you are going to be left behind.
I also thought that, honestly,
so they have to try a little bit.
The $1 million prize I thought was a big incentive because it actually gave guys a reason to try.
So
yeah, I don't know how big it is.
So wait, were the teams like 4 players, 3 guys, 3 skaters and a goalie? Is that basically how it worked?
It's 10 guys on each team, I think.
3 lines of 3 and then a goalie. No, wait,
so
it was
11.
There were 2 goalies. There were 2 goalies.
Right, so everybody got around $90,000 or so.
Oh, okay.
On the winning team.
Well, see, that kind of doesn't make. I mean, $1 million sounds great. Then you realize that's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of takes.
Speaking of the $1 million, because John Scott was the captain of the Pacific Division, that meant Gary Bettman had to hand John Scott a giant novelty check of $1 million.
Well, I did see John Scott get a pretty good shot off at Jeremy Roenick too.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I did see that.
Well, supposedly, Roenick had also been giving him shit for the majority of this whole thing. Mm-hmm. But Scott said afterwards, he's like, that wasn't like a shot directly at anything Jeremy said, because I honestly didn't even know Jeremy said anything.
Well, he said you're wrong about a lot of things. He was talking about something. Come on.
Well, he was talking about – he was just trying to give him a jab in general. I don't think it was anything specific.
Like your commentary sucks kind of joke, I guess.
Yeah,
but
that's what I mean, yeah.
Which it does, because Jeremy Roenick is not good at his job. But
you think he'd be better. But
you would, but –
he's supposed to be the Charles Barkley of NHL coverage, and he's just not.
Charles Barkley is entertaining as fuck, okay?
Right, well, that's what Jeremy Roenick was supposed to be, that. Because you see his career, and you're like, oh, this guy, he's going to make a living running his mouth.
Yeah.
And he's just doesn't. He's not good.
It's a different animal, and you got to do it in front of a camera, and you've got to do it on cue. You know.
Well, now you've got another zinger. John Scott got in was actually at Mike Milbury's expense because
they did an interview the other day, like when NBCSN came back. They were talking about who would play John Scott in the movie that they're throwing around. And he's like, I think Milbury could do it, but he's got to lose a few pounds first.
Ooh,
yeah,
nice.
Basically, Mike Milbury, you're fat.
So, how long did Mike Milbury play? Like, anybody know when his career ended?
I can.
I don't know the extent of his career. The only thing I know about his playing days is that he was one of the Boston players who went into the fan.
Right. That was in 79, right?
Yeah, beat a player with his own shoe. So
I saw him play a game in 1983 when he was with the Bruins, and he looked like 100 years old then. And I just wanted to know how long maybe he was towards the end of his career at that point. I don't know.
He joined the Bruins in 1975-76. That's when he played his first games, only 3. But he played with the Bruins from 75-76 to 86-87.
Okay, so he was at the tail of his career.
11 to 12 years.
Okay, so he was kind of at the tail end of his career when I saw him in 83 then, basically.
Also,
he's known for a few things. He's known for beating somebody with his own shoe. He's also known for trading away Zdeno Chara, Wade Redden, Eric Brewer, Brian McCabe, Roberto Luongo, and Tommy Salo, as well as Ole Jokinen, Todd Bertuzzi, Tim Connolly.
So basically,
Rick DiPietro.
So basically, Mike Milbury is known for destroying the New York Islanders.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. He was GMing the Islanders and got rid of Zdeno Chara and Roberto Luongo, most notably, as well as you could throw in Jokinen and Bertuzzi.
And then drafting
DiPietro, number 1 overall, trading for Alexei Yashin from the Islanders.
Wow.
From the Senators. And giving him a contract that they just finished paying off last year.
They traded away. I still thought that he traded away Roberto Luongo. We got to make room for Rick DiPietro, guys.
I'm just, some of those. When did that take place? Because some of those names, if they stick around, that's a pretty good team.
99,000.
Yeah.
Like mid late 90s. Yeah, is when he started he's when he got there. But speaking of that, Bob McKenzie actually got another good shot in at Milbury over the Islanders thing. Like it has not been a good couple of days for Mike Milbury because they were talking about Brendan Shanahan and Brendan Shanahan's efforts to rebuild the Leafs as Toronto's president of hockey operations. And Shanahan went straight from being a player to being president of hockey operations. He was never a coach. He was never a GM. So Mike Milbury goes, guy was never a coach. He was never a GM. I wish I had, skipped all those menial jobs too. And then Bob McKenzie fires back. Yeah, and so did the New York Islanders.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
But, the John Scott thing, pretty fun.
And now there's a petition to get Mike Milbury fired from NBCSN.
Yeah, but there's a petition for anything, it'll go nowhere. NBC's not going to listen. Oh, this petition, guys, we better fire him. No, they like him because he creates if you're a network, you want somebody to create petitions, unless he says something.
Yeah, people are talking about him. That's the thing,
Right.
That's what you want.
How many petitions do you think there are for Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Well,
I bet they have
Skip,
100,000 more signatures than Milbury does.
Speaking of Skip, his contract is up, I've heard, and that he may be moving on from ESPN. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Here's what needs to happen. Fox Sports 1, their own version of that show where Skip Bayless yells at people. First Take. Only it's the Fox Sports 1 version of First Take with Skip Bayless, and instead of Stephen A. Smith, Keith Olbermann.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Olbermann's not screaming.
No, exactly. Because it would just be because the entire thing would just be Skip Bayless doing and Keith Olbermann just like shaking his head. Like,
well, speaking of Fox Sports 1, they got rid of the Fox Sports the highlight show is going away. Did you see that, Zach?
Yeah, they're trying to phase it out soon. They don't know what they're going to do yet. What they said was Fox Sports Live, quote, as we know it, will be going away.
Right, they're doing that whole stupid embrace debate thing that ESPN does, and it's like, man, you're never going to beat them.
Because they hired the guy that started that.
That's what I'm saying.
As their new lead executive producer.
But you're never going to beat them by imitating them. You got to be a true alternative, and I don't know. I don't like the direction of it at all. I think it's bad.
And I think any good sports network still needs a daily highlight show.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
and they've got what's his name?
Even if it's consistently getting beat by SportsCenter, you still need something like that to anchor your news. Like when something newsy happens, who are you going to turn to?
Who are you going to call?
Right.
But does that mean we can have Jay and Dan back?
When happens, who are they going to do it? Now,
I
that's the thing. Jay and Dan still have a contract with them. They said, well, we're not, even if they change the show format, they're still going to be on the network doing something. So
yeah, I don't know. I was just disappointed to read it because it was like, they were going to try to kind of get back to doing, real sports. And I read that they hired the guy that came up with the Embrace Debate thing. And then, they're changing Fox Sports 1 and all that. It's just kind of a shame. But anyway.
Well, you kind of saw that too when they bring in somebody like Cowherd to anchor the daytime show.
But that's radio, though. I mean, the TV show is just, like a daytime show thing, basically.
Yeah. Yes and no. I think Cowherd wants to be figured more prominently, TV wise.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So,
didn't he used to host that show with what's her name, Michelle Beadle?
Sports Nation, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
he worked good because he was so serious. Michelle Beadle's like, stop taking yourself so damn seriously all the time. it was a good balance. That show was fun. It's kind of lost its luster now. There's just Michelle Beadle and whoever the hell else is there.
I couldn't tell you. I don't know.
Oh, she does it now with Max Kellerman and Marcellus Wiley.
Oh, okay, yeah. I remember hearing Marcellus Wiley's name in there.
Yeah, Max and Marcellus do daily afternoon radio for ESPN here in LA.
Yeah.
And then once they do that show, they go over to the Sports Nation set.
Oh, is that shot in LA? I didn't know that. I thought it was in Bristol.
Yeah, they shoot it at the LA studio now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It used to be out in Bristol, but now it's back here. But yeah, before we get too far off that stuff, we stay with the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Two things. Let's talk about where we are at the All-Star break when it comes to our fine league that we like to cover.
Woo!
So I open up the new and improved NHL.com.
Oh, that's
it's
right.
Very bright. It's
another move. It's for tablets, right? They did the same bullshit.
Yeah, supposedly it's really nice on mobile, and more.
But what about those of us that still use computers? I mean, God, I know that's so old fashioned now, but come on.
Well, they're also doing it like they're working with MLB's advanced media people, so they're trying to make it more in line with MLB, and it's supposed to help out with the video content.
Back in my day, I looked on the internets on my computer. I liked it.
Mike, there's something troubling that we need to discuss with you when it comes to these league standings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your great nation,
the
Great White North, the 48th parallel and above, does not have a team currently in a Stanley Cup playoff position.
Yeah.
Montreal just fell off the cliff when Carey Price got hurt, man.
How does the nation mourn itself today, Mike?
Prime Minister Trudeau has declared a state of emergency.
Yes.
We are, we're hunkering down. We're stockpiling VHS tapes of the 1993 playoffs. And, we're just hoping, God willing, that we get through this all in one piece.
And it's not even that they're not in the playoffs. In the Western Conference, the bottom four teams in the conference, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, and 3 of the bottom 5 in the East are the Canadian teams.
Yeah.
See the outliers being your Columbus Blue Jackets, Greg.
Yeah.
And the nation's Buffalo Sabres.
Say what you will, at least the Leafs are doing better than the Blue Jackets. So
actually, we have one more win than you do. Sorry. You're beating us by 2 points, but you know what? I'll take it. I take the 19 wins over 18. That's just better.
Well, what about the 28 losses over 22 losses? Right?
Yeah, we've got.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about wins here.
We've got more overtime losses, so suck it, okay?
So
but you know what? We have a future, so suck it.
Do you?
I used to think so once.
Do you really, or has everyone finished exploding yet?
Here's the thing: we're Columbus. We're hardly a marquee franchise, Mm-hmm. The Toronto Maple Leafs are one of the marquee franchises in all the NHL. So we've got an excuse.
It's year one of Babcock and Shanahan's grand experiment. Year one. So let's everyone just calm down on
and
that.
It's year one of John Davidson and John Tortorella's grand experiments. Let's all just calm down.
Tortorella. There's only one way the Tortorella experiment can end, Greg.
I know, but it's going to be fun getting there.
Fire. In just big balls of fire. He's not even. Is he still? Did he get back on the bench yet?
I don't know.
Did his ribs recover from?
You got to understand. I'm not up there anymore, so I have. I mean, the teams. My teams down here are the Lightning, the Panthers, and
yes.
I guess that's it.
Well,
the Solar
speaking
Bears.
of those teams,
the Solar Bears.
Go over the standings real quick. The leader in the league, leader in the East, your Washington Capitals. They lead the Metro just ahead of the Rangers and Islanders. In the Atlantic Division, your Florida Panthers, Greg.
That's right.
Lead the Atlantic by 5 points. Beating up on the Red Wings tonight, too.
Good.
They lead Tampa by 5 points.
If I could name one player on that team, I'd become a Panthers fan, but I can't name a single one.
Jaromir Jagr. There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's not going to happen.
Go buy yourself a jersey.
No.
Nicholas Bukestad, Roberto Luongo, Aaron Ekblad. Any of those guys?
Oh, I've heard of them. I just didn't know they were playing for the Panthers.
The two wildcard teams are the Bruins and Penguins, who are in a tie with the New Jersey Devils, just on the outside.
Who are tied 1-1 with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's given me hope that the Leafs are currently tied with a. Yeah.
I gotta say, I don't know that in all my years of following sports that I've ever had a more disappointing season than this one with the Jackets. I really thought
it's supposed to be the year that it all happened.
You know what? I didn't think that the mojo from Cleveland could make it that far down 71, but it seems like it has. I mean, they're completely different cities. They have nothing in common, and it's like
Is there a shared lakefront? Like
no.
Is there? Could the pollution have made its way downriver?
No, that's the thing. It's just you've got an interstate. That's it. And anyway.
Well, to be fair, it's not an Ohio thing. The Bengals aren't exactly.
Yeah, but that's Cincinnati. That's freaking Northern Kentucky. That's not.
Yeah, that might as well be Kentucky.
I mean. That's
you
talk about going down the street and asking people, like going to Northern Ohio, and most people don't even consider Cincinnati part of the state. So, anyway.
The playoff matchups, as they would be right now, pretty juicy in the East. Capitals, Penguins, Rangers, Islanders, Florida, Boston.
I forgot. I still have my New York Rangers,
Detroit
don't I?
Yeah, you still got the Rangers. They're
right.
They're second in the Met. So
there we go.
Second in the Met. Yes. They're leading Pittsburgh by 2 points. They're 2 points out of the playoffs, but they're also. You know what? It's second in the Met.
I would legitimately be psyched for a Rangers Islanders playoff series.
Wait, the Rangers? Okay. I thought you just said they were. Who's 2 points out? Pittsburgh.
Well, the Rangers are 2 points up on Pittsburgh and New Jersey.
They were 2 points out of a playoff spot.
Well, right. They're 2 points. 2 points away from being out of the playoffs, but they're also second in the division.
That's because the Met, man, you just try to survive it. That's all. It's just that brutal. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But no, think about
it's like the CHL East.
It is the CHL East,
right?
Yeah, right. I mean, but think about it. Rangers, Islanders, and I know the move to Brooklyn has not been smooth sailing for the Islanders, but
did you see what their CEO said?
Oh, Yorkman, yes.
Oh my God! Hey, we know that there's obstructed view seats, but they know that when they're buying the tickets. And if you can't see things, well, pull up the game on your phone or on your tablet and watch the game on the scoreboard.
Right. I'm going to pay $75 to sit and watch a game on my phone. I don't think so.
The CEO said you can watch the game on your phone or on the scoreboard if you can't see things.
And apparently, according to Islanders fans, it's cold as balls in that arena because
they have trouble maintaining the ice, so they have to freeze the damn thing.
The only good thing to actually come out of that is the Twitter account for the Barclays Center car.
Yes. Over to the Western Conference. The leaders in the West, your reigning Stanley Cup champion, Chicago.
This is for those of you that don't have the internet. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just going over it so that we can have a basis to talk about. But people don't pull up the standings while they're listening to the podcast, Greg. Right?
You go exactly.
If you're in your car listening to us, thank you.
Exactly.
You're not going to pull up the standings while we're talking, right?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Chicago, Dallas, St. Louis, your top three. In the Pacific, LA, San Jose, and my Anaheim Ducks.
Making back some lost ground.
Making back some lost ground. Back in the playoff spot. Everything's fine. We're okay. Playing the Kings tonight. Go Ducks. Wild spots are Colorado and Smashville. Just out of the playoffs would be Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm
Look at
Nashville.
Look at San Jose.
San Jose making their way back up. Arizona finally looks like they may be settling into being what they were and falling out of the playoffs, which is fine.
Yeah, but that early surge really could have cost them that sweet, sweet Austin Matthews pick.
There's actually quite a few disappointing teams from last year in this bunch. Oh, yeah. I think Montreal, they lost. I mean, I don't know.
Montreal being as far down as they are in the East is certainly it's. And Carey Price the other day, they thought he was going to be coming back after the All-Star break. Then they said, oh, no, he's out for another 3 to 4 weeks.
Because Condis went, I know this because I just dropped him for my fantasy team. He went 4, 12, and 1 or something over the 16-game stretch. Yeah.
So you have Montreal in the East as that.
I picked up the immortal Eddie Lack.
Calgary, Winnipeg taking a big tumble as well. Colorado made a surge here recently to get back into the playoff race. So
he's on fire right now, man. Eddie Lack.
Eddie Lack, yeah.
He is. He's had a really good stretch of 10 games. I'm going to try to ride him for a little bit and see what happens.
The Eddie Lack, Roberto Luongo reunion.
The Hurricanes of it's really their coach that's getting them playing really well, possession-wise and strong in the neutral zone. That's
aren't they on a pretty good run at themselves?
Beat up on them the other night, so who the hell knows what's going on?
I don't know. There's a lot of muck going on. Like, everyone thought the East was so far ahead and that the Pacific was so bad in the West. And then as time's gone on, the Pacific has caught back up with everybody. And the only thing that we know for sure is the Capitals are a regular season monster right now.
The Capitals.
5-9-4.
The Capitals need to get past the second round of the playoffs before I give them much of a.
I know. I'm just saying that they're running away with the regular season right now.
God, I guess, huh?
And Chicago, after a slow start, they've got back up to the top. And
Corey Crawford,
LA finally had a good start to a season.
Corey Crawford's actually leading the league in shutouts.
I get every day, and I don't know why I get this ad on my Facebook feed. It's something about the Kings. Can they win their third cup in 5 years or whatever? And I don't understand why I get this.
I don't know,
because you get those you get that the focused advertising stuff. What the hell did I ever do to deserve that?
I don't know, Greg.
I wanted to write back and go, I don't give a fuck about the Kings. I just don't.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The last bit of NHL before we move on, Mike.
Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about a little bit about the what's going on here, other than just the standings.
Like what?
Well, Florida's. I think that this is a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I read the standings to.
I know, but there's also
and I tried to talk about it, and we did, and then we went away.
All right.
You couldn't name a Panther, remember?
Well, that was like me. I'm not talking about me.
In terms of the Panthers, I mean,
see, this is what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Okay. In terms of the Panthers, honestly, and I've said this before, but I think it bears repeating, that Roberto Luongo kind of just thrives in low pressure situations. Like, you put him in Vancouver and
he takes him to Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final.
And then what? And then did you see?
It's not like he played bad in Vancouver.
Yes. Did you see how he played in?
Oh yeah.
4 of those 7 games.
Right. Well, let's see what happens when the Panthers go back to the playoffs. But what he does for them when he goes back.
I'd just like to point out too that since I've moved to Florida, it looks like look at this. Look at the 2 Florida teams. I don't know why I always think there's 3 Florida teams. I know there aren't, but I always think there is. I guess it's a football thing.
They should just promote the Solar Bears into the NHL.
I went by the Solar Bears arena the other night, and they had that big, giant-ass, goofy bear logo in lights, it's huge on the side of the building. I was like,
that logo was amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of like laid-back bear with a hockey stick instead of angry bear.
Yeah, no.
He's a Florida polar bear. He's on vacation.
Right.
He's not angry. He's just
digging it, man. Rocking his shades, the whole bit. I actually want to go down there and see a game. I think it'd be kind of cool. It's not that hard to get to from here.
Hey, these uniforms are lame, man.
This is the new cut. Y'all be back. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
We're talking. We're going to talk a little weed, right?
Yeah, the Toronto pot leaves. I mean, maple butts.
Right. All right, wait, before we start, Zach, okay.
Yes.
Where are you on the it looks like a pot leaf argument?
I think people are stupid.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Like I understand what they're trying to point out. It's just it's not a pot leaf.
And the silhouettes are the silhouettes are nothing alike.
Like I know the silhouettes are it's the jagged edges thing, and that there's a similar shape. I understand it because I've seen it used. Obviously, there's a lot of people that smoke weed in Southern California, and there are people that buy Maple Leafs crap. Like Snoop Dogg's wearing a Toronto Maple Leaf, old school Toronto Maple Leafs hat. You think he's wearing that because he's a Maple Leaf fan, or that it kind of looks sort of, if you squint at it, like a pot leaf?
I think Snoop Dogg is
he wears a lot of different jerseys. I think he's just a uniform geek.
I think Snoop Dogg is a dedicated fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey club.
I don't think so. But I understand where people are coming from. It's just, I know that that's the Toronto Maple Leaf logo. You're not going to, I can see where it's repurposed into, pop merchandise, because they do that with other things. But it's a non-point, really.
A lot of tree leaves have jagged edges like that. Lots. Yeah. It's hardly, and, look, do they share some properties? Yes, absolutely. But that's like saying, apples and oranges share properties too. They're both round. They're both fruit. You can eat both of them. That's it. That's the end of it. That's where I think it is with this. It's ridiculous. And the people that are like, it's a pot leaf. It just drove me nuts. I think I really like it, though.
Entire history of the Maple Leafs logos?
What's that?
Have they not looked at the entire logo history of the Maple Leafs?
I guess not.
The only time they haven't looked like that, I mean, obviously their main logos for the past 40 years or so, 40, 50 years, but every logo in the first half of their existence was just like that one.
There was the St. Pat's years and the...
Yeah, but I mean, when it comes to the Maple Leafs...
Yeah. The only real deviations have been the 67 leaf and then the Ballard design, which, thank God. Let's get the pot stuff out of the way. Just talk about this new logo, because, God damn it, I couldn't be happier of how that turned out.
I think it looks really nice. Good. I like it a lot.
When it just, from the shape and the font choice, pretty good. And then... the little details that, the 31 points for 1931 and the 17 and the 13, that's neat. And
I think
it gives it a little extra something. That's cool. But from just a visual standpoint, it's a pretty damn nice classic Leaf logo.
I couldn't be happier. The older Leaf logos that it's hearkening back to, they've all had their charm, but I've always kind of felt that each one of them had something that was just a bit off about their shapes. The last one before the 67 Leaf would probably have been my favorite, but even that one was flawed because it had that really off-center text for no good reason. It was just because it was drawn in 1963 and no one gave a crap.
God damn, that thing is off-centered, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
But so I'm actually kind of happy that they didn't just go back to one of the older logos, just full stock, because all those old logos kind of have their problems that really wouldn't work today. Instead, what they did was they took the same spirit, the same kind of general aesthetic that those old logos have, and they fixed everything just enough to make it work as a modern logo today. But they didn't do anything more than was absolutely necessary. And I think it looks stunning. I think it looks it definitely harkens back to the older looks of the team, but everything that you could have said about the old logos, anything negative about it being dated or poorly designed, that's all been exercised. So it's just distilled awesomeness.
Yeah, I agree. It's the perfect update to a classic logo. Simple as that. You couldn't have done it any better.
And to all you people out there being like, well, I liked the last logo better. Okay, you're not Leafs fans, so I understand why you don't get it. But let me tell you, from someone who lives in Leafs Nation here, thank God the last remnant of Harold Ballard's tenure is finally gone.
I like the current, soon-to-be former Leafs logo. I do.
I did the old. You mean the Ballard one, as he's referring to it?
Yes.
Yeah, I did too.
The one that they're wearing on a regular basis this season.
Right, yeah.
It's the
I
font is so
like it. I like the symmetry. I like the shape. It's nice.
The font is so 70s.
I know, but it's also it's so 70s when you say like, yeah, this is a 70s thing, but it also still works. Like if they didn't go and change it, there wouldn't be any complaint because I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But this one's nice too. When it comes to the Maple Leafs, as long as it's a blue leaf with writing on it that says Toronto Maple Leafs, there's not too many ways you can go wrong, really.
Well, they almost did in the 90s, but
well, I mean that wasn't the same thing.
That was the same thing, and
stuff.
And cooler heads prevailed, and thankfully we had to go through that phase.
But it's a blue leaf with a simple font that says Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not too many ways to screw it up, and they did a very nice job. I don't know if maybe they could have streamlined it a little bit. Maybe it's too leafy in a way, but it's still
it is supposed to be a leaf.
Well, I understand that. I know, but you don't want it to be like.
I know what you're saying.
Like take like the Baltimore Orioles, for example, right? There's a difference between the ornithologically correct Oriole they use and the cartoon one. Mm-hmm. Or you look at look at the Leafs, like the early Leafs logos where they're super leafy.
Oh yeah, it was
It's basically they put a leaf on a piece of paper, drew a stencil around it, and threw it on the jersey.
Yeah.
Let me try
Compare
this.
that to like the Canadian flag one, which the Ballard leaf was kind of based on, right?
Yeah. If you were a fan of the one they're wearing right now, the one they're switching from, if you liked that, you could look at the new one and think maybe it's a tad busy. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit because it is detailed.
But again, the Ballard leaf. There's a lot of baggage with that with that logo that a lot of Leafs fans are going to be happy it's finally been jettisoned. That's basically why I think it had to go. It's not even necessarily anything wrong with the design. Oh, I do think the current Ballard leaf is a bit too boxy, just a tad, but by and large, I think it's certainly fine and it works, but there is still a lot of baggage involved in that, and
sure.
And it's good to see that it's finally going to be entirely put behind the club.
Right. Yeah, I understand the thought behind it, where it's this logo has been associated with nothing but losing. This is the only logo they've worn without winning a cup and they want to go back to the glory days as they try to turn a new, sorry to borrow a phrase, no pun intended, turn a new leaf and go back to a winning culture. Like, yeah. I didn't mean to do that on purpose. It just happened. I was in the middle of saying it. I was like, damn it, I'm committed to the phrase now. But, they're trying to go back to the glory days of the Leafs when they were good and a new direction with the organization, new leadership. They're trying to make the Leafs back into one of those glory original six franchises.
Isn't it a 100th anniversary thing too, Mike?
Yeah, this is going to be adopted next year in time for the team's 100th anniversary.
Right. Yeah, it's all fine. But had they not changed the logo at all, I don't think it would have been bad to keep it as it was.
No, me either. I mean, I agree with you on that.
Because haven't they had this logo the longest out of any of their logos?
I believe so. I don't think it is technically, but yeah, because technically there have been 3 versions of the Ballard Leaf.
I'm just kind of upset they got rid of the lightning bolt, but I can live with it.
Oh.
But that's just the logo. There's nothing as far as like what the jersey is going to look like.
No,
right?
the popular theory is that it's going to be based off of the 63 to 67 set, which is basically just put the new logos on the current uniforms and then add the blue shoulder yoke to the whites.
Yeah,
that'd
be nice.
Ladies and gentlemen, Zach's Tabs. The National Football League.
Yes, of course. Let's start with NFL news and notes and then Super Bowl stuff.
Let's do news and notes.
Let's do news and notes.
Greg, back in your neck of the woods, the Browns basically made a press release to say that they will cut Johnny Manziel at a later date.
Because only the Cleveland Browns are so fucking stupid that they would, maybe if you keep your mouth shut, you never know. Somebody might go, I wonder if they're going to hang on to him. Let's offer him a 6th-round draft pick for the guy. Because you might have gotten something for him, but not now. Now everybody knows.
You know what? Now he's going to go down. He's going to become a Miami Dolphin. They're going to win a couple Super Bowls, and then he'll come back to Cleveland, and it's just not going to be.
Probably not.
Retirement. Some more early retirements coming in. Justin Tuck of the Giants announced his retirement today. And last week reports that Megatron, Calvin Johnson, after only 8 seasons, is going to hang up his cleats.
What the hell is going on with the Detroit Lions? Because it happened again, guys.
Well, I don't know if it's the Detroit Lions, but there's a lot. I mean, you get a couple years ago, you get the linebacker for the 49ers.
Oh, yeah, the draft pick.
Patrick Willis. That was just this season, yeah.
Right. You're getting a lot of these guys that are starting to retire early.
It's
a lot of these guys, they've made a lot of money. They're still very well off and could be for a while, but it's kind of alarming if you're the NFL. Probably
it's the CTE thing, right?
It's got to be CTE. Like saying that they've suffered from it, but basically they don't want to suffer from it. They're like, we've made our money. If they've been smart with their money, they're like, we don't need to keep playing.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point in having $1 gazillion if you can't count to 4 when you're 50? I don't blame these guys. I mean, make your money, and if you can get out with your health, do it.
The Lions are trying to convince him to not go, obviously.
Yeah, imagine, yeah.
But supposedly he told some of his family, as well as Matthew Stafford and Stephen Tulloch, 2 players for the Lions. So I don't know. It's interesting.
Let's see. He played, 8 years?
I think 8 seasons, yeah.
So he got a great big signing bonus. He probably played out his first contract, got another huge one. Yeah, he's probably set for life. He's like, what?
He's the Lions' all-time leading receiver and stuff like that. So
yeah, I don't blame him. I'm serious. If it were me, I would do the same thing because again, if you can't count to 5 and you don't know who you are and you walk into rooms, hell, I do that all the time myself. But when you get serious symptoms like that, I mean, what's the point in having all that money if you can't enjoy it?
I guess I know we've mentioned plenty of times this will be the death of the NFL. This is it. Is this the sort of thing that could cause the slow death of the National Football League? If
star players keep retiring early, then yeah, it could be.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised if, say, in 30 years, the NFL, as we know it today, is nothing like – you wouldn't recognize it in 30 years, I think, if it's still around. I do because more of these studies are going to come out. More and more things are going to happen. Eventually, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when someone is going to die on the field from a hit.
Let's say, hypothetically, and I know this is a lot of big leaps, but, for the sake of argument, let's just say that a young quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, it turns out to be like the next Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, right?
Right.
And over the next couple of seasons.
This is a definite hypothetical.
But he comes into his own next few seasons.
Well, he was a Pro Bowler this year, of course.
He was.
So was Tyrod Taylor, for fuck's sake.
But
anyway,
Peyton and Brady, they hung on actually for a while. But I think it's really going to be telling if the next Peyton or the next Brady retires after maybe a Super Bowl victory or two, like, I got my money, I won a Super Bowl, now it's time to retire. That's going to be telling.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're seeing we're at the beginning of a slow decline. I don't think we're going to see something happen quickly, but yeah, I do think that I just don't know how the game can survive because the more information that comes out about the head injuries and all that stuff, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse.
But that all leads into Super Bowl 50 this weekend, boys and girls. And of course, with Super Bowl 50, we went into excruciating detail on the football show.
After that riveting Pro Bowl discussion.
Yes.
Hey, it was a good discussion.
There's always the fun part of the Super Bowl is the prop bets. You can bet on the coin toss. What kind of score will the first score be? What player will get the score? Will it be an odd-numbered player or an even-numbered player? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But those are all too technical. So there's other even weirder ones that we need to get to. So here's a list of weird prop bets when it comes to this weekend's Super Bowl event. The first one, which is fun. How many chicken wings will Buffalo Wild Wings sell on Super Bowl day?
At least 50.
Under 12 million.
I'm going under on that one.
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
I'm going to go under as well. You got 12 million chicken wings is a lot.
Yeah.
For a nation.
We've also got Buffalo Wild Wings in Canada.
But here's the thing. This is why I go under on this one, because usually Super Bowl, you go to a party, and usually there's people make food. There's not a lot of
they cater. They cater.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's going to be under.
How many people are going to go to a Wild Wings to go watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think it's going to be under. I think it's going to be well under.
Yeah, they on the site they've said that nationwide they sell. There's about 1 billion chicken wings every Super Bowl Sunday, but that's just in general that are sold, not necessarily Buffalo
Wild Wings. Yeah,
let's see what percentage of that goes to the Buffalo Wild Wings.
I still think over. In fact, it wouldn't shock me if they doubled that number if it was 24 million.
Okay,
would not shock me.
We have 2 unders and an over. All right.
All right. Next thing that's on the list is which song will Coldplay play first during the halftime show?
Oh, I mean, I've got to think long and hard on that legendary Coldplay set list. So,
well, you would think clocks would be one of the big hits, and that's a plus 750 though, which means if you bet 100, you win $750.
Clocks because it's got the perfect opening riff. That's okay.
Coldplay does have a new album out.
They're not going. They'll open with a hit. It's the Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
Like one of their new songs?
No.
You got to think, with a new album out, the Super Bowl is the perfect opportunity to really show that. When it comes to the NFL, never bet against crass, blatant commercialism.
Right. They're going to open with clocks.
All right, you make $750 if you put.
I would bet that if I could find a way to do it. I guarantee you they're going to open with clocks. It's the perfect opening tune for them, especially in a short set like that.
The favorite is "Adventure of a Lifetime," which is their newest single, plus 200. Fix You is plus 375, and A Sky Full of Stars, which is it's like a EDM type song.
I want them to open with Warning Sign. Yeah. It's this really sad, depressing song.
What color will Beyonce's footwear be when she comes on stage?
Oh, fuck. Which pair of shoes? I mean, come on. When she comes on stage?
Yes.
Gold.
Gold brown is plus 250. The favorite is black at plus 150.
I gotta think
big underdog is any other color plus 700.
I gotta think it's going to be gold. I mean, the whole color scheme of this thing has been gold. If Nike had their way, I'm convinced both the Broncos and Panthers would be wearing black and gold versions of their uniforms.
Yeah, I'm going to go with gold.
Will Beyonce show cleavage during the show?
Yes.
Yes, minus 1,400.
Part of me still thinks the NFL might be a bit gun shy from that Janet Jackson incident.
She'll show cleavage. She will.
Number of artists who sing at the halftime show. The only ones we know right now are Coldplay and Beyonce. But as seen in the last couple of halftime shows, there's been an ensemble of people to show up.
I'm sure Bieber will be there.
So the over-under is 3.5. Last year we had Katy Perry, Lenny Kravitz, and Missy Elliott for 3.
And Left Shark. Let's not forget Left Shark.
There is a Left Shark prop bet as well.
Okay.
Will Left Shark make an appearance on stage during the halftime?
He has to.
Yes is plus 1,500.
If there is a God in the universe, it has to happen.
Praise be, Left Shark.
I want Left Shark to make an appearance, but he won't. So I'm going to bet no, he will not make an appearance.
You know what? I'm going to say yes. I fully acknowledge it's a Hail Mary. And this is more me wanting it to happen than thinking it's going to happen. But put me down for a yes.
All right.
On to the broadcast segment when we talk about the broadcasters, Jim Nantz and Phil Simms. How many times will dab or dabbing be said by broadcasters? Over 2 is even odds. Under 2 is minus 140.
It depends on the announcer. Can we pick Simms? If it's Simms, I say 0.
Simms will attempt to say it, but he will get the term wrong.
Yeah.
How many times will the Golden Gate Bridge be shown on the broadcast? The over-under is 0.5.
3.
So basically, will you see the Golden Gate Bridge during the broadcast? That's got to be a lock for the over. There's no way they don't show the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
Unless they cave into the demands of the San Franciscans who have been terrorizing their signs. And they're like, okay, we get the point. It's not in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think we'll see it in the open of the game myself. I mean, the opening, the intro, I think we'll see it.
I mean, look, can you do a kaiju movie in San Francisco and not show the Golden Gate Bridge? It has to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Will Peyton Manning be shown crying during the broadcast?
Nope.
No,
Yeah,
because
no is the overwhelming favorite.
Peyton Manning doesn't cry. He's either going to be smiling if they're winning, or if it becomes another Seahawks-esque beatdown, he just looks pissed the entire time. But he never
then
cries.
you'll just get Peyton Manning face. Yeah, there will be no crying.
This next one, this is the easiest money you could make in the entire prop bets, I think. Will broadcasters mention that Broncos head coach Gary Kubiak was John Elway's backup quarterback?
Yes, they will.
Yeah, there's no way they don't, right?
Right, yeah. Some of these are just, it's amazing they're even going to let you bet on them, really.
This one's fun. Will Mike Carey, the rules expert for CBS, former NFL referee, be wrong about a challenge?
He is the worst.
How bad do you think he is, Mike? Go ahead, because I'm going to blow your mind here in a second. Go ahead. How bad do you think he is?
So bad. He was the worst official in the league when he was active. And now he is absolutely terrible. He's got no, TV presence. He always sounds like he's lost for words. And on top of that, I don't think he's ever been right.
Okay. They did a study on this because, people have criticisms of Mike Carey. Over the course of the 2015 regular season, Mike Carey was right 90% of the time.
Really?
Yep. But the thing is, when he's wrong, he is so wrong,
Yeah.
But yeah, 90% accurate, believe it or not. Yep.
Let's see. How many times will John Elway be shown on the broadcast? Over under 2.5.
Easily over. In fact, I'm gonna parlay that into the since we're betting, I'm gonna parlay that into the Kubiak backup thing and say that there's at least one studio shot of Elway, Kubiak, and Manning in the same frame, in the same shot. Like they're all going to be together. They might even have Kubiak break out like the old Orange Crush Broncos jersey.
Mike is getting very specific here. He must have a hunch. Mike's betting like a sharp here, Zach.
I mean, it's got to happen. I don't see how it doesn't happen.
All right.
Next one. How many times will Archie Manning be shown on the broadcast? The over-under is only 1.
We talked about it on the football show. I think that the Archie Manning thing, it's past. We get it. If the Broncos win, he'll get shown. But other than that, I think 1 might be about it.
I think he gets 2, but not much more than that.
Yeah.
The whole Archie Manning thing really peaked when the Giants were winning 2 Super Bowls because, both Peyton and Eli, top of their game.
Right, but Eli and Archie are going to be there, as well as Cooper and the whole Manning clan. Mm-hmm. And, with it possibly being, quote-unquote, Peyton's last rodeo, they'll show him, especially if the Broncos are winning late in the game.
Then you'll see
you want to cut to the box to see, their elation. But if the Broncos are losing, then maybe you only get to see him once. On to the Cam Newton portion of the program. How many times will Cam Newton do this Superman celebration where he looks like he's opening up his shirt to reveal the Superman logo?
What's the over-under?
2.5.
Oh, I was going to go 5, so I'm going over on that.
But do you think he scores 5 times?
Oh, does he only do it when he scores?
No.
Or a big play. I was
going to say, I think
I think whenever he does a first down, he either does that or the dab.
Right. That's why I was thinking 5 at least, I think.
I mean, I don't know.
If it were just touchdowns, I'd say no. But with him doing it over other things, yeah, I think 5.
I'm trying to think how well he's going to stack up against that Denver defense, which is just monstrous. And I don't think it's going to happen, but there is a possibility that they just completely shut him down. So I'm going to say 2. He does it twice.
Okay.
I'm going to play conservative.
Well, how many footballs will Cam Newton give to children in the stands? Over under 1.5. Now remember,
none,
this is the
because
Super Bowl.
Children aren't sitting in the front row of the Super Bowl.
Right. You got to assume that there's going to be kids front row, which there probably will be. But you also have to assume this is the Super Bowl. Are you going to give away, if you score a touchdown, Are you going to give away your Super Bowl ball?
Cam Newton just might. He seems like that kind of guy.
Cam Newton might, but in other games, he'll take the ball away from teammates.
Yeah.
His teammates will give him the ball and give it away.
That
if
ain't
you're
happening.
Jonathan Stewart and you score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, or you're Ted Ginn Jr., are you going to give your football to Cam to give to a kid?
No, and I guarantee you they've already talked about it. They're like, Cam, if I score in the Super Bowl, keep your hands off my ball.
The most morbid one, will there be an earthquake during the game? Plus 1,000 for yes. You cannot bet on no.
It will happen when the Broncos are leading just before the game ends, denying Peyton Manning his second ring.
The earth will open up and swallow him.
I think it depends on what they need to qualify as a recorded earthquake.
Right.
Animal Planet this year is allowing you to create a fantasy puppy bowl team.
Oh, fuck me, really?
Yes. Will it be available through ESPN's site?
It is through animalplanet.com.
Oh, here it is. Draft your fantasy puppy bowl team.
Yes.
So, see the pups. So, shall we do a quick... we have, all right, Team Fluff. First puppy listed is Atticus. He's a Husky Labrador mix. He's 12 or she is 12 weeks old. Then you have Bijou, who is a Great Dane pup, 12 weeks old. That's going to be a big dog.
You got Boris, Havanese, Cooper.
I got to pick the Great Dane. I mean, that thing's just going to run wild.
So between now and Sunday, you got to pick your puppy bowl team. 3 pups, and we'll declare a winner next Thursday. Puppy Bowl 12.
Puppy Bowl 12.
12.
Best thing since Bud Bowl, if you ask me. We're going to call it a night. Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Go to the website and listen to every episode we've ever done if you'd like. It's basicallyasportshow.com. We'll be back next week with the results of Puppy Bowl 12.
I've already picked my team.
We'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Later.